we'll actually hear it.
G'day everyone, welcome to the Australian Herp Culture Podcast. How you going, fellas?
Good. How are we?
Really good, thanks, mate.
Depressed.
You guys
at
are
home.
depressed. I'm the one that's depressed.
Different kind of depressed.
That's right. Oh well, let's just get straight into it, eh? Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Do you want to maybe just recap as to why you didn't actually come, Jason? Just to give everyone a bit of a heads up.
Just work obligations, really.
Yeah.
But in saying that, it was kind of a bit of a blessing in disguise because I got a message telling me to evacuate my area due to flooding. So it was a bit of a, full-on thing. But I turned around, came home from work. We were lucky where we are. We didn't get flooded, but just down the end of my road, it's still flooded now. Basically, it hasn't subsided yet. I think it might have a little bit today, but yeah, pretty much work commitments for me. So the usual story.
Real bummer.
The house is all good though.
Yeah, we're sweet. Yeah, just heaps of rain. Nothing wrong with my area. Like because I'm a little bit on the hill, but when you get that message at 6:30 in the morning, and you're already in the city. It's kind of like far out. You got kids, shed full of animals and other animals. It's kind of scramble back up the freeway and on that M1 with bucket and down trench of rain, aquaplaning everywhere. It's kind of it's scary, but anyway.
Oh well, at least you're all right and the house is all right. That's the main
exactly
thing.
That's right.
There's a hell of a lot of people that aren't as lucky as that.
Yeah, down the road, definitely, unfortunately. So
Cars floating away and all sorts.
Yeah, it's hectic.
Crazy.
Whole East Coast. So
Did you see the video of the koi fish swimming around in the dog park?
no, I didn't see that.
No.
That's sick. Can you send me that?
Koi fish, obviously, like pond flooded, and there's koi fish like all in this area.
I didn't see that.
There's like in Manly where it got flooded, like down the Corso or whatever. There's like fish in the planter beds and stuff.
No way. Imagine that with like some prized koi fish or something worth like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it was big, man. It was like a proper full-blown,
Yes, that's
koi
epic. Probably terrible
insane.
the environment, but like,
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing I thought. So,
Hectic.
geez, you guys' hearts would have skipped a beat when the tornado warning was coming through on the way in.
Yeah, well, that was the nerve-wracking thing. I think I spoke to you, Luke, 2 nights or something out, 3 nights out or something, going, shit, I hope this cyclone doesn't actually land, or, what are the plans?
That was kind of funny, that whole situation. I mean, it wasn't funny. I was stressing like crazy because, I basically nutted out this whole route, knew everything that was going on. So I was like, this is going to be sweet, good trip, sightseeing, so on and so forth. And then, big monsoon trough moved in. So I was like, okay, we'll see how it goes. And then the monsoon trough hit a low. And then next thing we know, there's cyclone warnings. And I was like, okay, I'll hold out. Like, it's not going to happen. It'll be fine. And then that only got worse. And then, I was talking to some people at the pub that I work at. And they're like, oh, yeah, cyclones are unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. And on the map, it was zigzagging around all over the place. And it was kind of like, oh, shit. So then, obviously I had to drop you a line and say, just so you know, this is happening. Not really sure what to do about it. Thankfully, ended up, as we said, the perfect storm. Worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, it was a result in the end.
Bloody oath.
Yeah.
We did pretty good. I'm not going to complain about any of the stuff that we saw. I think rough tally was about 42 species, and including frogs, and there were some species, like I think children's pythons, we got like 8 or 9, so it was... We cleaned up as far as numbers went. I think we got multiples of every python except for the OP. But it was pretty crazy. It's a good trip, that's for sure. But we pretty much smacked down in Darwin, and then Luke took us on a bit of a sightseeing trip around Darwin to try to find some. What did we try to find? Frillies,
we tried to get Nistoi, Scalaris, Frillies at a pretty well-known spot where. Basically, every time I've been there, I've seen at least 2 or 3 of them, where unfortunately we saw none. Then there was the fail-safe Mertens at Howard Springs. That didn't go to plan either. Out of there.
We got the file snakes at Howard Springs. That was cool.
Yeah, that was
really
cool,
pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6 of them swimming around. That was great.
Yeah,
and there was a baby bird there.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And there was a turtle, I think, as well that we missed.
Yeah. Yeah. Right place, wrong time.
Yeah, that's it. It was cool seeing the fish there though, like seeing like the barramundi and stuff like that. They were sitting down there. Like, I mean, I'm a bit of a fish geek like you, Luke. So that was cool.
Hell
seeing
yeah.
that.
Yeah, the fish are
Yeah.
always good to see.
Yeah, but no, I think that well, Tyson, if you want to let us know like the first Mertens that we actually found.
Oh yeah, the little baby one in the drain.
Oh, no. Before that, the dead one.
The DOR one. That was pretty gut wrenching, to be honest.
That was a nice looking Mertens.
It was really nice. It was really
Yeah.
nice. And I'm trying to remember the order. It was obviously the file snakes. Not seeing the Mertens at Howard Springs, not seeing the Frilly, not seeing the Scalaris, not seeing the Michelli, and then the first Mertens we see is dead. I was like, all right.
To a good start.
There was the dead whip
The
snake.
whip snake.
Oh, yeah, I was like, great start. But
then we got the dead whip snake at Fog as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I was like, all right. Obviously, the night got a lot better, but yeah, that Mertens was really, really nice. Beautiful yellow spots, and nice sort of nice juvenile size, and yeah, it was pretty fresh too. It seemed it was still pretty fresh, so we only just missed it, I think. But yeah, got a lot better from there, so that was all right.
Yeah. Yes, then
Where
we
did
rolled
you
into.
go after that? You rolled down. You went inland, did you?
So we were still up the top.
South?
So Luke took us into
By
Fog Dam.
this time, we're heading into Fog Dam.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then basically hung around Fog Dam for a bit with the freshie and saw a few other things. Plenty of birds.
That freshie was beautiful, wasn't it?
My favorite thing, like I don't know if your video's released yet, Luke, but my favorite fucking thing about that video is when you were driving and you see that Jabiru and you're like, where the fuck's my camera? Where the fuck's my camera? Then anybody who doesn't know you, right, would be like, oh yeah, he's just taking a little snap, but you don't like to admit it, but you are a pretty amazing photographer. And I just love how you're like you're just swearing, taking a picture of this bird, and then the actual photo comes up next to it on the screen, and it's fucking awesome. And it just made me laugh so hard because you're like, oh yeah, this hobby photographer. Where the fuck's my camera? It's awesome.
Yeah. Come to a screaming halt with water pouring over the fucking car.
So, when it was released, look out for that. It's gold.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Sure.
Good fun getting that bird.
Yeah.
I've got a pretty sure of that actually. I was just looking at it today. Thanks. They're amazing.
Yeah. No, it's good to see you kind of twitching out on your birds. You're definitely a bit more keen on your birds these days, that's for sure.
Oh, I was actually talking to someone today about it. You know how like people don't recognize snakes? They kind of just see one snake as all snakes, or all snakes as one snake.
Yeah.
I'm trying to identify birds, and I'm trying to do this big year thing where you basically work out or try to tick as many species as you can in a single year.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at all these birds, and I'm trying to ID them in a field guide. And for the life of me, I'm really struggling with a whole bunch of them. And I've come to realize that I basically view birds as how most people view snakes. They're just a bird. Unless I actually really know what it is, it's like a bird. They all look the same.
In birds, do you have to see both sexes for it to count? Because like the female's always different generally.
Yeah, because there's sexual dimorphism a lot of the species.
Yeah, there is a lot of sexual dimorphism, which also makes IDing them hard, or at least for me it does. Some things it's pretty easy, like the Jabiroos. You've got the yellow eye for the females, I think it is.
Yeah.
And then the males are just a dark eye, but yeah, just IDing birds is hard, eh? Posted a photo today of one, and then I had like 5 people message me and go, no, it's not that bird.
I'm that way with skinks. There's so many different types of skinks.
Yeah.
You just
some
put them down into 2 categories: little skinks and big skinks. That's how I do it.
Basically, yeah. But it's funny, trying to ID like to notice or something, and you suddenly look at to notice, and I don't know how many species there is. I'll just say there's about 120. But like you've got 120, and there's usually like 5 to 6 living in any one spot. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, try knuckle it out, and then you're IDing the scales on the ear and all the rest of it. So that's always good fun.
And they're pretty small too, so it makes it even harder.
Oh yeah, yep.
But even in that little small section of Fog Dam, we had like is it a royal spoonbill or something spoonbill? We had the pied herons, other like multiple different types of herons, the jabiru.
Yeah, cattle egret. Oh, not cattle egrets. Great egrets. What else was there? There was the 2 species of kingfisher as well.
Oh, yes,
Then
yes.
there's the black kites and the whistling kites. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's actually cool to see.
Yeah.
It was awesome to actually see it wet. Because, like, as I was saying, I was up there, it was dry as anything. So to see it full of water and like all the lily pads out and everything looking lush was awesome.
There was actually, in the video, the little snippet you showed, it was pretty green up there, I noticed.
Oh, yeah.
I expected it to be a lot drier.
The lily pads are beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing right now. It's so cool. And I was saying to Tyson and Luke on the trip, because I moved up in August, which was right at the end of the dry season.
Yeah.
So I've seen everything go from like the absolute pits kind of thing to suddenly transforming into this lush green, you know, whatever you want to call it up here. It's amazing. Very cool to see.
Yeah. That's unreal. Yeah. Where'd you head to after Fog Dam?
That's when we headed south. So then we ended up down in Catherine, and then I wasn't really sure what to do, but because I haven't really herped in Catherine too much.
Yeah.
But we ended up driving west across the Vic Highway out towards Kununurra. I don't know how far we went. I think it was 120 or 130 k's west, and then just turned around and come back.
Yeah. Is that where you got your Gillen's monitor, Luke? Down there?
No, that was a while after that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so when we were doing that kind of like that night herping there, we were pretty much stumbling across like what did we get? We got some children's pythons and a few other bits and pieces, but we kind of we got out of the car a fair bit and we were like walking around underneath these bridges.
Yeah.
Just to see if we could find anything that was kind of sheltering there during the day. And I think Tyson spotted a couple of children's pythons that were hanging up underneath these bridges and things. Luke got a bino gecko. We found a few green tree frogs.
Was that other frog in the plastic?
Yeah, I think it was like a little rubella or something like that. A little Victoria rubella or something similar. I think, didn't you get eyes on some Oedura as well there, Luke?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, they would have just been Oedura marmorata, but yeah, I couldn't catch them. They were just a little bit too high up in the tree, and when I was trying to suss it out, how I could get up there, they ended up running higher, so I ended up just leaving it, unfortunately, and went back to the tree about 3 times while you guys were poking around elsewhere, but I couldn't see them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Lots of snake sheds under the bridges.
Yeah.
Lots of snake sheds, but no big snakes, no big.
Yeah. Yeah, Tyson found this massive olive python skin.
What else did he find?
Yeah, big snake shit.
Well. Big snake. No big. I was like, that's an olive python. There's an olive python here. 100%.
Perfect spot for him if you think about it, really. The only thing under those bridges.
Big as a big olive.
Yeah, definitely. Like those bridges, like it'd be a good spot to shelter during the day and get out of that direct sunlight. It also holds a bit of heat, so that would have been perfect. And like pretty much where those bridges are, like they go down into some pretty swampy water, so you got a water source there as well. Yeah, some of it was a bit sketchy, like it was pretty brown and murky. So I got the fire alarm going off again.
Yeah, and I saw that in the video. You pan round to the water, and I think Luke goes, "Oh, it's a bit crocky in there," and it's just basically brown water.
Yeah. It's luckily we had some areas of water. Sorry, so funnily, some of the areas with water, you're kind of like, "Oh yeah, nah, that's sweet," and then you just look at other places, and you're like, "Nah, fuck that, I'm not going near the water." Yeah.
Yeah, no, when he panned around, I saw that water. I thought the same thing. I'm like, fuck, I wouldn't be standing that close to the edge. You found a children's under there, was it, as well?
Yeah, I spotted a children's under there, but it was on like a a steep bank. And I think
Yeah.
like where we were safe. Like no crocodile was going to fly up that steep bank.
That far,
However,
yeah.
if you slipped, you know, you'd be like on a conveyor belt into a croc's mouth. So
Yeah, if you slipped, yeah.
half of one, six of the other. You know?
Uh,
But yeah. But
what
yeah, I
what
imagine
sort of
those
temps
birds
were you getting during the day there? 40 odd?
like high 30s?
Whereabouts are we talking? Sorry,
Where basically where
Catherine?
that bridge was. Yeah, Catherine there.
it would have been high 30s. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, and humidity was through the roof too, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
I don't think-
Especially if you're on the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't find the humidity like that bad until like Kakadu.
It wasn't bad until we come back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it wasn't that bad. It was hot, and the nights weren't like super nice, but the humidity wasn't that bad until Kakadu. Like when we found the OP, that was fucking brutal.
Yeah.
That was insane. That to me was the most humid I've ever experienced up here.
Yeah,
Was it up
Anywhere,
around
really.
100% up there, or?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I mean, if you looked at my body at the time, you'd probably say so.
yeah.
Hey.
Is
I was
110%,
sweating.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah,
I
the
sweat in
extra-
winter. I
extra
sweat in the
10%
winter.
was excitement.
So I would have been
Yeah,
like drooping with sweat.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
bad.
pretty. Yeah.
We all looked like we'd just jumped into a pool or something like that and got out again quickly. Like that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the problem with it too. You can't dry because there's so much water in the air.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah, once you're wet, you're kind of stuck being that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. But,
Where'd you head to
Yeah.
after that? Did you kind of
Well,
go
we
back?
found
You went
the
back
olive
up, didn't you?
we found the big olive that night. We almost missed it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was on the road, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was just sitting off the side. Yeah, I think we all seen it at the same time. I went, oh, that was a big snake. But yeah, he wasn't sitting straight on the road. So
Yeah.
that was good. That was a good way to end the night, that's for sure.
And we were pretty
Yeah, it was-
delirious by that point because it was probably like 2 a.m. or something like that at that stage. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think we swung the car around pretty quick and checked him out for what 15, 20 minutes. And we're like, when we have to go find somewhere to sleep.
Yeah.
I think you and I had both been awake for like 24 hours at that point.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Good
Yeah, a
feeling,
bit of an
eh?
attitude too.
Yeah. The snake, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He was cranky.
Bastard. But it's cool though.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a lot of the olive pythons I find usually pretty chill. They don't seem to be overly phased by people, but that one just didn't really want to bar of it. It just
Except for one
kinda
that was
settled
smashing the front of your diffuser that time.
Oh, that was
Oh,
a
that
water
was a water
python that was
python.
smashing
Oh, was it
him.
water?
down.
Ah.
Yeah. Cranky bloody thing.
Yeah, so yeah, we pretty much pulled up a little spot that night, and we found another children's python just next to where we were camping. Rolled out the swags and called it a night, and got up pretty early the next morning. I think we were up 6:30 or 7 or something like that, and went and checked out kind of like this little what would you call it? Just like a little gorge essentially, with a few waterfalls and stuff like that, and hung out there for a few hours, and we found a few little skinks and stuff along that way. We were looking at the Carlia and the Tenotus and
Yeah.
the Doperifera and the Gilbert's dragon and stuff. So we found like a few
Yeah,
little
it was
things,
just-
and
There was Edith Falls,
Yeah, and
wasn't
then
it?
on the way back we got. Yeah, it was that way. Yeah.
It's got the most beautiful rocks I've ever seen in my life.
yeah,
Mm. That's
Yeah,
pretty
it was
good.
unreal. Just so many reds and just the color, like some of like the rocks were like glistening. It was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
look real,
It's-
especially when we're
it's
up the top near that waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there was like jet black in there, but then gold as well.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
almost looked like it had been spray painted on. It was, weird.
Yeah.
Cool though.
Yeah, it was very nice. No Murdens there either.
No.
Anywhere there was
Yeah,
water, we
safe.
were checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. Like, usually Mertens are pretty easy get up here at the moment. Like they're everywhere. And yeah, the first how many days was it? 3 days we didn't see one.
Mm.
Yeah, something
So
like
yeah, that was pretty shit.
Mm.
But no, it was cool to hang up there for like the first half of the day and essentially just have a bit of a swim and stuff. Yeah,
Oh, it's so nice.
beautiful area.
It's definitely a good way to spend a herp trip. I reckon actually spending some time just chilling out and swimming and seeing some other stuff rather than just keeping your head down and trying to knuckle out species.
Yeah, I don't think the videos
now.
did do those rocks justice too, because I was watching that video and I'm like, I was watching the colours. I'm like, oh, they look awesome, but I could just imagine how much better they actually look in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the old GoPro for you.
Yeah, I think that's anything in general though. Like it just doesn't do it justice.
100%.
A little bit of color correction, but it's like you still can't do it justice. They were so nice.
Yeah,
So nice.
Yeah. I think I've got a few photos on my camera of a few spots up there with some of the rocks and stuff, and that's like about as close as you're going to get by, looking at it without your naked eye sort of thing. So
how funny was it though? So like how funny was it though, like the three of us just frothing over habitat all day, like, oh yeah, look at that rock. Oh yeah, that's a sick rock. I can't get home. Oh yeah. Oh, look at that rock. That's a really nice rock.
It was actually it was funny from my point of view because I'm not keeping at the moment and haven't been for a little while, so like my head's kind of not in the keeping thing. But it was really funny listening to you two bouncing around ideas about how you could stick things in enclosures or how you could use ideas that you're seeing. I was like, this is so funny. This is everything I used to do, but now I'm just not in it the same way that I used to be. But it was cool to listen to your conversations about all that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit rock obsessed at the moment, so I'm every time I pass rocks, I'm checking them out.
Yeah. No, it was definitely good fun in that sort of sense, and I think we all learnt stuff along the way that no doubt we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, it was where did we go from there? Yeah, we pretty much hightailed it down south towards Daily Waters, didn't we?
Yeah, so we shot down towards Daily Waters, grabbed a beer there and checked out the pub just because it's obviously an iconic place to see. And then we shot further down towards Tennant Creek, you think? Yes. Tennant Creek, and then headed east along the Barkley.
Yeah.
And then we found a campsite along there.
Yeah. So we were pretty much just cruising that road that night, and that's where we came across. We got some stimmies. I think we got like 3 or 4 stimmies. The Strophoris, the Ciliaris as well. So we got to see
that one.
Yeah, we got to see, I think 4 of them in total, I want to say. Tyson actually got eyes on one in a tree, which was really good because like a few of them were kind of crossing the road and stuff. And it's like, it's cool to see them as is, but it's even more awesome to see him actually using the habitat. So
yeah,
that was probably like the best.
What is it? What were you looking for?
Geno.
Geno. I didn't know what a Geno was like, so I was just looking for geckos. I was like, guys, is this a Geno? They come running over. No, it's not. Oh well.
I probably would have been a bit jealous if you found one of them, to be honest.
Next time.
Yeah,
something else for him to
gecko.
see. Yeah, they are. Did you come across any adders?
No.
Nah. I've been asked that a lot, actually. A lot of people have asked me if we've seen adders on that trip.
Yeah.
Which I found interesting. I don't know if it's like a good time of the year or good conditions or whatever, but yeah, a lot of people have asked me that.
Because they're pretty renowned, the Barkley adders.
Yeah, in captivity they are,
Yeah.
But the Barkley's so funny. Like, I think I was really lucky the first time I went to the Barkley that I just happened to have good conditions and I cleaned up with what I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people have said, most of the time Barkley is a shithole and you never see anything unless you get really good conditions and then it goes off. I think we did pretty okay considering the conditions, because I know that the boys that are up here now that I'm about to go meet, they didn't see a single thing on there at night, and they were there for 2 nights. So yeah, it's pretty.
Well, they cleaned up everywhere else though, so
yeah, let's not talk about
that.
They got a puncculata at Fog Dam as well.
Oh, which was that?
They got a golden tree snake at Fog Dam.
Oh, yeah. They got that McClay's water snake too at
McClay's.
Oh, where was it? Litchfield. They got that at Litchfield and it was crossing the road, which is interesting.
Not to mention all the monitors.
Oh,
Yeah, don't.
don't get me started there. That's a sore spot for me. But no, it was good fun. I think that night, yeah, we got the Stroffs, we got the Stimmies, and we watched you play with the Western Brown.
The brown snake.
Yeah.
Yes, very professional, of course.
Had your safety boots on. Good to see.
Yeah,
Your Aussie safety boots.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was funny today. I saw I think it was on your Instagram or on your Facebook page, somebody was stitching you up and saying, "Do Australians not know what shoes are?" or something like that.
Yeah,
because every photo of you're just not wearing anything.
Yeah, yep, yeah. She's from America. That was pretty funny. I was like, yeah, they did. We're born with them on our legs.
That's right.
No, good fun.
Yeah, nah, that Western was cool. It was a nice one, nice pale-headed one. Yeah, and then we set up camp, and yeah, next day that's Luke's job to talk about.
Yeah. We got scaly foots that night too, and
heaps of them.
Was that the same night that we got the suitors?
We got a Burdens as well.
Nah,
early.
We got a dead suitor the first night, and then I think the other suitors came the next night.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did get that Burton's. That was probably the first thing that we actually saw on that road was that Burton's.
Yeah, Burdens and the suitor were early, like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
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 I think we set up camp probably about what? That was about 2 o'clock or something that morning. I think we
would have
pulled
been
in
about 2 a.m.
Yeah. So we set up camp at this little free campground, which was pretty cool. But I still remember waking up that next morning. It was like probably 6:30, 7 o'clock, and like the sun was beating down on the swag already, and it was probably honestly about 30 degrees already. Like it was,
yeah,
it was fucking hot. And
it doesn't take long.
No, there was no protection whatsoever, and like because I had my swag like open top, it was just like sun beating, on me while I'm sleeping. But no, we got up that morning and we kept east, didn't we? We kept going east.
Yeah, we still had about 100 and something Ks, or probably would have been around 100 Ks to get to Barclay Homestead. And on that route, we basically left the campsite and not even 50 meters in front, Tyson spots there, sandy. So yeah. I basically got a friend who's like very good at catching sand monitors, and he basically told me this technique. So I'm like rattling off this technique on how to get these sand monitors. And I'm like, yeah, they're actually really easy. Second I get out of the bloody car, the Sandy takes off, so I couldn't even do the thing. So I was like, oh, they're not normally like that, whatever. We drive along because we lost it, couldn't find it again. Drive along, sure enough, a couple of Ks up the road, we found another one. I was like, okay, so this is what you got to do, blah, blah, blah. Sure enough, get out of the car, this thing fucking jets into the sand dunes, and we're like, okay, cool, lost that one again. So by this point, I'm feeling like a bit of a fucking idiot because it's worked for me before, but apparently I can't show these two. And then, does anyone else want to tell the next bit, or do you want me to just keep talking?
You keep going.
You keep going, mate.
All right. So then, sure enough, we drive up a little bit further, and Tyson again spots another monitor, and he's staunching his way across the road, and it's this big Panoptes, and I was like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Like, it's going to work this time. Sure enough, we pull over in front of it, and with like, plenty of space between it. So I get out of the car slowly, and this thing takes off, and I was like, fuck this, he's not getting away this time. So me and Tyson go legging it after it. I don't know what Luke was doing, but yeah.
I was trying to film it.
Trying to run. I was trying to run this thing down. And sure enough, he runs off into the scrub and there's spin effects and things. I'm like, oh shit, this isn't going to go well. Anyway, he runs up a tree and, in the Barclay, trees aren't very tall. So I was like, brilliant, he's failed. I've got this thing. So I'm up the tree and I'm like getting pretty close. Tyson's under the tree. Luke's caught up. And then, basically I go to reach out for the Panoptes and basically I nick his tail and he torpedoes out. So it was pretty interesting. It launched itself out of the tree, and as it did it tucked its legs as if it was diving, and it went straight towards Tyson. Tyson's got this little bit on the GoPro footage.
Yeah.
Anyway, he unfortunately didn't grab it in the air or on the ground. The monitor takes off, runs a circle around him, and then Tyson's running after him, all while I'm up a tree watching it, and Luke's scattered trying to find this thing. And I watched this monitor run off into this big bush, and there's this, giant stick with twigs everywhere and stuff, and Tyson stops, and I'm like, fuck, we've lost it. God damn it. Anyway, sure enough, I'm still up the top watching from this view that I had, maybe like 2 meters up the tree or whatever. And this monitor full circles right back around and hits the same tree, skyrockets up the tree, sees my leg, moves around the opposite side of the branch, and climbs right up to my head, height basically, and then I was able to pluck it out of the tree. So it was pretty hilarious how it all happened. Yeah.
He made a faulty error there. He went up the same damn tree with you in it.
Jeez, that would have been pretty funny to watch.
Yeah, it's like the definition of zigging when you should have zagged. That monitor just made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Could have almost had the Benny Hill music playing while that was happening.
Yeah, really, really.
Oh, legit, eh?
Yeah, really.
It would have been
You're all
perfect.
just like, did that really just happen?
Yeah.
We couldn't believe it. I was like, how the fuck did Luke end up with this? Because I'm just seeing stuff blurring by, and I saw the monitor on the ground and Tyson chasing it, and next thing I know, Luke's got it in the tree. I'm like, how the fuck did that just happen?
Boomerang canoptes.
Yeah.
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 Was it a fair size one?
Like that was the only tree. It was probably 4.5 foot. Yeah. I mean, definitely not as big as they get. But yeah, he was all right.
Straight up the same tree.
He was happy to see us because he got his dicks out pretty much straight away and just left them on Tyson's arm.
Luke's arm.
Oh, Luke's arm. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, well, classic monitor. Yeah, always happy to see me.
Yeah.
So excited he came back.
Yeah.
No, but that was cool to see him up close and actually see the yellows and stuff in them. Like, they're such a stunning animal. And I think that's another thing that just doesn't get picked up on camera or photos or anything like that. Like, it's so good to actually see them in person and up close.
Yeah.
They've got like that same sort of highlighter yellow that the albino Darwins get. Like around their eyes, around their face. It's like the same, such a bright highlighter yellow. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Fluorescent. Yeah. It's funny. You see a lot of wild, particularly like panoptes and sandies, and the color of those two in particular far outweighs anything you ever see in captivity. I don't know if it's natural light or a combination of natural light, heat, and diet, but yeah, they're a bloody stunning lizard out in the wild.
Yeah.
Did you find all that with a lot of the animals out there? They're a lot more brighter and vibrant compared to the captive counterparts.
Yeah, I think so. For the majority of the animals that we were seeing, they were pretty good-looking animals. Yeah,
I thought that the thing about the sandies, like I really would like to keep the panoptes, but I just know that like the size of the sandpit you'd have to make for that thing is just huge, and then to see them run, and even the sandies, to see them run, like you just can't keep them in a 6-foot box. You just can't. Like you just can't do it. You just can't. Even
other thing with them.
Yeah, you need like a 50-meter swimming pool at least.
Yeah,
and then you might feel good in your heart about keeping one. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
The other thing too with them is they tripod quite regularly. They'll stand up and actually look around at things and see where they're going. And so then you got to factor in a lizard being able to stand up on its back feet.
Yeah.
And suss out the environment around it.
Yeah. Pretty awesome monitors.
Incredible animal.
We found some central netted dragons after that too.
Yeah, they're a pretty common sight along the road and everything, and able to get our hands on one. That was good.
They're cute little buggers.
Very cute.
Yeah. It was funny, like once we got that first one though, we started seeing a few of them all sitting on top of the termite mounds just all around the joint. And especially when we started to pull over for Tyson to get his drone out as well.
Yeah, there was like 3 or 4 there. Yeah, they're bloody everywhere.
Yeah.
They're very cool little lizards.
Yeah. Where did we end up from there? I think from there we pretty much didn't see anything until we stopped at the homestead, did we?
Yeah, so that's when we stopped in at the homestead and we were sort of trying to work out temperatures and everything, and I kind of wanted a break from driving. We got a feed, We charged some stuff on the cameras, I think. I think that's what we did first. But yeah, anyway, from there we decided to go out and check out a little place that I got some gillinai a couple of weeks before. And yeah, Luke, take it away.
Yeah, it was definitely my highlight of the trip by far. Yeah, we're kind of trudging through like this. It was really weird. Like I remember when you were sending me videos of that a few weeks ago or whatever. I'm like, that just doesn't look right. Like it doesn't look right that you're going to find gillinai in a spot like this. But yeah, we pretty much ended up kind of trudging through this kind of really sandy soils, but it still had like a lot of kind of like low growing greenery and stuff on the soil, as well as like termite mounds and tons of leaf litter and stuff. But it was kind of like real spaced out, like little short gum trees with a few kind of like dead trees in between where they were all nicely cracked up and you know all over the joint. But yeah, by that point that was like midday. That was like proper hot walking out there too, and we'd
yeah, so that was low 40s.
Yeah, we were like, oh, we'll come out for a quick walk, and you know, don't bother bringing our water bottles or anything like that. Like chances are we're not going to see anything now, and we'll come back in a few hours when it's like a little bit cooler. So yeah, we were trudging around, and then lo and behold, like we're checking every dead cracked tree we could find, any hollow, any sort of stuff that Luke was kind of telling us to look for. And then yeah, Luke ended up spotting one hanging on the cool side of a gum tree, you know, just in the shady spot there, and yeah, pretty much slung it at me and goes, "Your holiday's done. Like this is it.
Game set match.
I've done my part. You know, anything here is good, sort of thing."
Yeah.
But that was sick. That was sick to be able to see the animal, to see the habitat, to take some photos of the habitat, to have videos of the habitat and the animal. And we were pretty lucky that Tyson brought his UV meter along, and Luke had a temp gun and stuff in the car as well. So we were able to take some readings of.
What sort of temps were you getting?
Ground temp was 72. I was just editing this video today. Ground temp was 72. Like on the hot side of trees was like high 50s to low 50s.
Yeah.
Cool side of tree.
Temperature was low 40s.
Yeah. So I think Tyson actually measured it at one point. And it was like 39 air temp or something in one spot.
Oh, that's right, because you had your gun as well.
Yeah.
My gun does temp too. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's good enough. It gives you an idea.
Well, that's it. Like it's all just bringing information home and getting a rough idea of it all. And it's one thing to go out to an environment; it's another thing to see the animal in that environment. You know, so
yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was feeling it too because Luke was like, "Oh, I need to go get my camera now," which he left in the car. And I was like, "You need to bring everyone's water back because if we're sitting here for any longer, like I'm not going to last long in this shit."
Yeah.
It was,
I legit didn't think we were going to find one at that point just because it was the middle of the day. I was like, everything will be in tree hollows, you know, whatever. We'll be here for half an hour or something. And sure enough, we got one. So then I had to walk back to the car and then get my camera and then walk back with everyone's water bottles.
We probably checked a couple of hundred trees between us, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We all ended up in like 3 different directions. And
yeah.
I remember at one point like spinning around going, I can't see either of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember which direction I went in. You know, I was starting to kind of backtrack myself. I think I actually got distracted because I started chasing after a dragon that I saw running across the ground. And then like
we got the military dragon.
Oh, the military dragon was stunning.
That thing was cool.
Yeah, Luke caught that one. I think he was just about to dive down a burrow or something, and Luke got his hands on it just before it. But yeah, that thing was stunning. That was like brick reds and beautiful neon yellows on it and stuff.
Yellow,
yeah. I got a nice little snippet of footage of that.
Yeah, they're a real good looking lizard. I actually have some phone footage that you might be interested with that. Actually, I'll try send it through.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, they're a stunning little lizard. Fast as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it was complete excitement with the gillinai though. It was pretty much as soon as we did that, and you know, had a bit of a photo shoot. Well, Luke had a bit of a photo shoot with it, and I was sitting down under the tree holding it. I remember this before you started taking the photos though, Luke. I turned around to Luke and I was like, "We're fucking doing it wrong, hey? Like this just doesn't make sense, you know? Like as in like I'm keeping these things in 2 foot high boxes, and I'm going." this thing can like, and when we did let it go, like it ran 9 foot up in a tree, like it was nothing.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I just feel cruel now keeping these things in such tiny boxes and not being able to give them access to all this stuff that they're using in the wild. You know, like and varieties of things too. You know, like I look at all the hollows and that I got, like, they're all thin barked hollows. Whereas like some of these Gillen's monitors, they had like deep, thick gum trunks to get into, where like the bark on them, or you know, the thickness of the trunk would have been a solid 40 mil, which would have insulated them further. You know, like man, my brain exploded at that point. Hey,
Yeah, that was a really special moment for me, and that's actually where I'm writing. I'm actually writing that in the caption for that particular photo that you've seen, because for me, you know, I'm obviously not keeping anymore, and I was getting quite on the bandwagon when I was keeping to try, you know, really improve everything that I could, in terms of lighting and habitat and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's funny having been herping for a while now, and you know, every time I see things in the wild and really taking a notice of it, you really start to realise how far behind the hobby is. And I know, Tyson, you're certainly working on this and looking into ways to improve things as much as you can. And I think all three of you are really. But it was a really good moment for me because, you know, to see that light bulb moment that I've had as well in someone just suddenly go, fuck me, you know, we can be doing so much better. It's really good, and it's certainly a turn that the hobby needs, and definitely implore anyone to get out and actually go see some animals in the wild and really see what they're doing and how they're using the habitat. And Tyson, what did you say that was really good? Basically, like, you need to be on that side of the hobby, because it's almost like you're going to be left in the dust at the point that we're at. Everyone's starting to really see that. And you're either going one way or you're going the other. And if you're in that opposite side, it's almost a bit embarrassing now.
Yeah, a few more years, you know, all the tub keepers and that are all going to be on the wrong side of history. There's no way.
It's interesting. Just, you know, real interesting.
There's no way to avoid it. You know, soon we're going to go. I think Europe's, you know, a lot further down that track than the rest of the world. You know, the rest of us are still arguing about it, whereas, you know, Europe's sort of forging ahead down that path. And you know, the people who are sticking their heels down and not coming along with all the progress, you know, I really just think that they're going to be you know, embarrassed in a few more years.
It'd be certainly interesting if people start going into, I don't know really how you do it, but if you did like any scientific research into how reptiles respond, I'm sure there's already research, but how reptiles respond to enrichment, larger habitats, and you know, captive management that replicates that more versus, you know, I don't want to use the word sentient, but you know, that kind of way, how they react in tubs versus enclosures or habitats, whatever you want to refer to it as. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you don't give them the options, you never know, right? So it's just about
definitely
experimenting and seeing what they are actually going to use. You know, you might find that even some of these animals might not use it because they've never had it before. So it's almost just, it is trial and error, but you know, the boundaries are there to be pushed for it.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
But that was definitely
we even noticed with that Gillen's, like it was in a pretty sort of shaded tree, but there was like that really, really shaded tree, like right next to it. You know, you would imagine that like it was a very like overgrown, had like a vine growing through it. It was like really heavily shaded, and we found the Gillen's in a tree that was next to it. And you would almost imagine that the trees surrounding that really shaded tree probably all had Gillen's in.
Yeah.
Too, you know, I imagine we found that Gillen's there for a reason, you know, because that was like the most shaded tree in the whole place that we were next to. You know, I really like. You look at like the grey, that grey sort of light color of the Gillen's plus the light color of the trees that they're living in. You know, really gave me a sense that, you know, we think that monitors want to get really, really hot, which they do, but these Gillen's are like living in such harsh conditions. Like I really got the sense that they're trying to spend all their time trying to cool down. You know, that light color, the light tree, staying in the shade. You know, like I think they're hot enough as it is, just because of the conditions. They don't have a choice to be other than to be hot. So they're probably spending all their time trying to cool down.
Well, even something as perfect as that, right? Like we saw the Gillen's in a shady tree. It's like, how often are we giving shade to these animals? You know,
Yeah.
like I'm looking
Blasting them
to
under
my
lights.
yeah, well, perfect example to my right. I do not have any shade in that Gillen's monitor enclosure, and it's definitely something that I want to incorporate in future enclosures. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be anything fancy, just some dried gum leaves or something on a branch. And you
Yeah.
zip tie it to a log or something just to provide it. But
Yeah. But also, how many green leaves do you have in your enclosure? You know, like we're so used to putting dead wood and everything, you know, because it's easy. But like those Gillens were in trees.
they were
that
in
were
lush
very
gum
much
trees.
alive and
They
very
weren't
much-
even in mulga bushes, were they?
Yeah, you know, like it's crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely my mind blowing moment of that trip for sure. Was that point, and I remember going to bed that night and not sleeping because I'm like already designing like my master enclosure in my head of like how I'm going to try to replicate what I just saw. And yeah, anyway, it's
Just take the doors off your wardrobe and just put some glass sliders on there.
it's not big enough.
Just put a glass door on your bedroom door. There you go.
That's what I'm thinking, and even that's probably not big enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know,
You move your bedroom into the closet. You move your lounge room into one of your reptile rooms. You move your reptile room into the lounge room. You're sorted.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then your wife
Yeah.
moves out of the house.
Yeah.
You just
said
sit
you got one
straight up
car
in the
spot,
balcony.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's it was a good moment, that's for sure. But I think after that, we kind of hightailed it back to the homestead to cool down for a bit, and yeah, we had a few beers to
certainly chilled
celebrate.
out after that. That was good.
Yeah, that was Luke's trip over in his head. He was like, I'm done. I don't care
Well,
what
the
it's
thing-
about.
I had one more thing to do.
Yeah.
Tick Tyson's mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hadn't been done yet.
But like I when we booked this trip and got everything organized, not once did I actually consider Gillen's monitors were on the cards. You know,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
didn't even consider that. And I was lucky that this storm kind of played out the way it did, because that pushed us in the direction of being able to find them. So, you know, I got a massive tick, my ultimate tick, without even thinking I was going to get it. You know,
Those
Yeah.
films were like 1,300 Ks away as well, wasn't it? About 1,300 Ks.
something like that.
You know, plus all the other
A lot of
driving.
K's on the car, man.
Yeah, it's probably like
Yeah.
1,500 Ks of driving to get that Gillens.
Yeah. And all like the
You're welcome.
zigzagging we did.
Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
No,
funny.
that was
I
unreal.
actually remember ages and ages and ages ago when you first started talking about this trip, you actually mentioned it, and I was like, "Nah, dude, that's so far out of the way. Like, we're not going down there. That's a like completely separate trip to do." And lo and behold, it actually happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Next minute,
Yeah.
perfect storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So after that, did you head back up north after you found that Gillen's, or did you kind of kick around there for a little bit?
Yeah, so we stayed there until sunset. We actually finally bumped into Matt Somerville in, please forgive me, is it Kirsty or
Christy.
Chrissy.
Christy. We bumped into them too. They happened to pull into the petrol station.
What are the odds of
and
that?
then we sort of
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we sort of kicked
funny,
it
like you
around
speak to
until
someone so often,
sunset.
then you finally meet them as well.
Yeah.
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 But no, then we pretty much spent the night road cruising back towards Tennant Creek, finding what we could find along the way. I remember actually it was like pretty much just on dusk as well. I've even got it on video. I turned around to Luke and I was like, "Oh, I'd really love to see another Centralian Bluey and try to get a photo of it." And it wasn't
Boom.
too far after that. We found one scurrying across the road.
Yeah.
So
Potato.
yeah,
Desert potato.
they're a cool lizard though, man. I love those.
Very
things.
They are.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was a pretty
We got a
chunky
couple
individual,
night
that one.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Still got
But leave that one there. But yeah. Yeah, we were playing around for that for a fair bit, and I managed to get a half-assed photo of it. It just did not want to play for the camera at all. Like as soon as you put the thing on the ground, he was off. Like
Yeah, they're funny like that. Hey, that was like one of the ones I photographed. The one that I've posted a photo of already. Trying to get that to pose for a photo was just not feasible, and it ended up having me zigzagging across the road trying to take photos of it. So I gave the one that we found then about 3 attempts, and after that I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. Don't need to. But watching you two was funny.
but no, that was cool to see that, and I think we correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say we got another stimmy or something on the way back as well. We found heaps of the suitors that night, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yes.
suitors and
Yes, we did.
Lots of scalyfoot.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what happened to you, Luke?
Yeah, well, yeah, basically I seen it, and it was the first proper one that I'd seen that was alive, and I got all excited about it, and it was a teeny little thing, probably not much bigger than a pen. And I picked it up, kind of expecting it to be like most smaller leopards where they're all bluff, but this thing latched onto my finger real quick, and I kind of thought to myself, oh shit, that's a venomous snake, that's probably not good. And then I was like, it's pseudopunctata. I never really heard anything much about any other suitor other than the curl snakes being a bit of a concern. So I was kind of like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. And then, yeah, he kind of kept chewing on my finger, and I was like, all right, well, you do you. You guys were looking at it. Then he let go, and he smashed me on my hand again, and then transferred him into my other hand, and he smashed that one. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I didn't really think too much of it. Because he was so small, I didn't think it'd even penetrate the skin, to be honest. But yeah, about 10 minutes in, I was getting like some localized stinging around the area, and I kind of thought that was about the extent that it would go to. But yeah, my hand ended up seizing up quite considerably and kept feeling like I needed to move it a lot. Like I had to keep opening and closing my hand because it just felt like it was cramping. And yeah, that ended up being both my hands. But yeah, it didn't really eventuate anything further than that. We eventually went to bed and woke up that morning, and my armpit was all fucking hurting. I couldn't really lift my arm up very comfortably. Yeah, so a bit of a dick move on my part, that's for sure. So, but that's all right. We live and learn, right? Probably don't do what I do. But, yeah, you know, it's all good.
Yeah, it's still swelling
yeah,
up now too, isn't it?
Yeah, funnily on that point, you know, after about, so I had localized pain on the bite side areas for about 36 hours, and it went away. And only yesterday, all the bite sites, so three sites swelled up quite considerably yesterday, and were actually more painful than they were at the actual time of it. My finger swelled up a lot. Like everyone was kind of like, shit, that really doesn't look good. And it was really painful to touch. I had a chat with Scott Iper, and he said it's probably a sign of an allergy and probably not to get bitten by a suitor again. So could go into anaphylaxis. So that's obviously something to be concerned about or be conscious of. But yeah, so probably won't be playing with suitor again, or at least taking them as lightly. Sorry, if anyone's actually watching this, I'm sitting in a car park at the moment in Jabiru. I'm going to go look for Owen Pellies again shortly. So that's why there's noise going on.
Lucky bastard. Yeah, so I mean, we got the little mulga snake that night too, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah, cute little thing.
Did we decide it was a pygmy in the end?
Yeah, so I've talked to a few people about that, and the conclusion is a mulga snake, not a pygmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the juveniles can often have a lot of the similar head patterning or patterns that the pygmies hold, but I've sent through some extra photos to a few people, and those people have said mulga snake, so I'll roll with that.
Yeah. Mitch has just said get an EpiPen for your kit just in case.
Who said that?
Mitch.
No.
Yeah, so
I got a bandage, that's all right.
you're talking about a guy that doesn't even have shoes, so
Yeah, but I do have 4 bandages in the car.
that's a start.
4X also does the trick.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, so we got a western hooded scaly foot that night as well, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we got a western.
Yeah, we definitely got a western, and I'm pretty certain we got scaly foots on both the nights, I think. Yeah, interesting area to get westerns and the easterns in the same area, or northerns. I don't know. Probably should have ID'd them.
Did we not get? Was it that night we got the burrowing snake, or was that the next night?
Yeah, that was
at
that
Tennant
night.
Creek on the way the way back. Yeah. So when we basically were driving back towards Tennant Creek, herping along the way, and we wanted to hook into Tennant Creek just to refuel and get some supplies. And on the way into Tennant Creek, we got the Brachioropus roperi, which is a little burrowing snake. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
they were cool.
That was an interesting stop in at Tennant Creek too, because that was probably about not far from 1 a.m. and the local mob were pretty much having a party at the petrol station.
Yeah.
It was pretty
it's
full on. Little
interesting,
babies running around
place.
everywhere. And
Yeah. So you almost don't believe it until you see it. I wasn't joking when I said it.
Yeah. No, we had a few good experiences like that. But we pretty much got out of there and we started kind of like herping back north. So going back towards like Litchfield or back to Daly Waters up north. And I think we all pretty much crashed, hey, and we just said like, okay, the first campsite we find, like we're pulling over rather than kind of getting stuck in the middle of nowhere. So we called it a night, and then the next morning we pretty much got up. I don't think we saw much that morning. No, we didn't. That whole day we didn't.
No, that was on the whole day. Yeah,
we're on our way to Litchfield essentially to catch up with Steph and Ricky. But we didn't get anything that whole day. We kind of pretty much just drove that whole day. We stopped at a few places just to stretch our legs and see some habitat and stuff like that. I'm actually pretty sure I found a grave, which was a little bit eerie. But
you were saying that. I remember that.
Yeah, it was like a perfect, like 6 foot human size shallow grave piled up with rocks. And I was like, okay, I'm getting back on the road now. Like, I'm not going to keep walking in this bush. Like, that kind of creeped me out a little bit.
Yeah, we were looking for Tristus, weren't we, at that time? We were.
Yeah, Tristus. Yeah. But pretty stoked to get some nice habitat shots of that stuff, actually. Pretty much going back to Litchfield, and like we'd pretty much just given up on being able to find any reptiles whatsoever. And I remember us like cruising along, and it was probably the sun was just starting to go down. And Luke hit the anchors so hard that we pretty much skidded off the side of the road because he'd seen a greater black whip snake, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I was basically prepping to overtake the truck that was in front of us because I was getting the shits with it.
That's right.
And basically as it was starting to come up, there was, I don't know who seen it first because I definitely didn't see it first. But I seen it right when they said it.
I think I shouted it.
It was probably Tyson.
I was like, snake, and you were like snake, and you slammed on the brakes. I think it was moving so fast.
Yeah, it's probably the fastest I slammed my brakes on that trip. But then I ran out after that and managed to get a hold of that, which was pretty lucky considering. I mean, we were lucky that we had that hill sort of stopping it from going that direction. So we got that black whip snake, which was pretty cool. A good experience, I think. He a bit bluffy at the start and sort of carried on, but he settled down really, really quickly and ended up just sitting quite comfortably in the hand. Again, don't recommend doing that. Don't listen to me. But it was nice. Good enough that I was comfortable enough to let either of you hold it if you wanted to. He was cool.
It was funny watching you take photos of him too, as like all the road trains are just like hammering past you. Luke's like sitting in the gutter, like trying to get portrait shots of this snake in his hand. And it's just like these massive trains just going boom, straight past us. That was a funny experience. Oh, that's the day the car broke down too.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Luke took a break from driving for an hour or so, and I got behind the wheel, and we stopped at like this. I think you broke your car. I was just unluckily driving.
Thankfully, you fixed it.
I made up for it at least. But there was kind of like these little traffic lights they were doing some road work. So we pulled up to this traffic light, and as I took off, once the traffic light had gone green, the car wouldn't go above 40 k's an hour, and it threw an engine light and an ABS light. So we're like, oh shit, what the hell's going on here? So we ended up kind of like parking off just to the side of the roadworks there, near Larimer Station or Larimer Pub or something like that. And
the pub.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Well,
we'll
get to that. So we pulled up there and we had a couple of guys drive past and go, hey, like, do you need a hand or whatever? And we thought the car had just overheated. So we were kind of checking all the fluids, and we had the bonnet off and everything. And we're like, oh, all the fluids are all right. Another guy pulls up and goes, oh, do you want me to go run into wherever he was going to go get a mechanic? And we're like, oh man, if you got a mechanic on hand, like, yeah, for sure. Like, we'll take what we can get. And he pissed off for about 45 minutes and didn't come back. So we were kind of like, is he coming back? Like, we weren't 100% sure of what's going on. And luckily where we were, we had a bit of patchy 3G internet. So I was on forums at the time looking up, Luke's car make and model and stuff like that to see what would be throwing the lights. And it mentioned the wheel sensors, I think they were. Yeah. So I didn't even know what the bloody things looked like. So I kind of figured it out and started wiggling cables and stuff. And then we started it up and it actually went. So we were like, okay, cool, problem fixed. And we stopped into that little Larimer pub because it boasted the best pies and sausage rolls. We went into there.
Door on it.
Yeah. It was like a shed with like some stoner dude out the back having a nap that Tyson had to wake up just so we could get a cold drink.
Big olive python skin over the chip stand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like, had to like lift up the snake shed to get your chips out from underneath it. Yeah,
it was
the best pies because they're the only pies.
Remember
well, they weren't even pies.
Even better.
He came out with like no mask on, and then he's like shabbily putting his mask on. He's like, "Oh, you all need to wear masks." And
yeah, have you guys got your certificates?
Get masks. Like, why, man?
Yeah. That was an interesting experience.
Very Hills Have Eyes experience.
He was like,
yeah, he was like the gas attendant at the beginning of the horror movie that like is real grumpy, and then like there's that shot of him as you're driving away, and he's got the eyes that like are like, oh yeah, all these guys are fucked. You know what I mean? You're driving off to their death. Haggard old petrol attendant man. He's just like a young stoner European guy.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. Then we got the whip snake as we got into Litchfield, and then where'd we go? We went into Bachelor, didn't we? We
went in via Bachelor. Yeah, so that's where we met Steph and Ricky. And then they came along, so we ended up in. It was 2 cars, wasn't it? Yeah, 2 cars.
Yeah.
And thankfully for you guys went with Ricky, and you didn't listen to me, because Steph and I went off and we went looking for some geckos, and we found nothing. We got 2 snakes the whole night, and you guys absolutely cleaned up with Ricky.
Yeah. What did we get? At first we got a DOR baby olive. We also got another baby olive, a very much alive one. We've got night tigers. We got a slaty grey.
2 black-headed pythons.
2 black-headed pythons. A water python. Some dingoes. A bull.
Children's pythons.
Lots of owls.
Yeah.
Lots of owls.
Oh, yeah. I feel sorry for that owl.
Yeah.
So Ricky was like slowly pulled up to this owl and was just sitting on the road, and the owl kind of like flew off the road. So Ricky started up again, and then the owl did like this massive U-turn and then just flew into the side of Ricky's car and pretty much carked it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really bad. It was really unfortunate, to be honest.
Yeah. He just went the complete wrong way. He just decided to come back into the car and knocked himself out, and that was it.
The thing was, it didn't even fly into the headlights. I didn't see it, but I was there straight after you guys had, hit the car, and it had hit the canopy of the car, so like on the back of the tray kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
an unfortunate thing to have happen, but yeah.
But there was lots of live ones, and they were beautiful, so...
Yeah. Good turnaround, Tyson. Good turnaround.
Positive.
That was a cool night though, because Ricky pretty much took us down this dirt track, and there was like this road closed sign, and he just like blew straight past that like it was nothing, because he's in a V8 turbo Land Cruiser or something. So yeah, we were just hammering, and like the kid can drive, hey.
He's an animal.
He is an animal. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
It's like if you gave
Yeah.
Mowgli a 4-wheel drive Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, he
Yeah,
was just hammering.
Mm.
That was a good night. I think we got multiples of pretty much all the pythons apart from the water python. I think we only got one of that night. And we
Yeah.
found a DOR Panoptes down there too.
Yeah.
A little one down there.
Uh,
And then we came and pulled.
Ricky had pointed out a couple of these little like creek bridges where we could find Merdens. He suggested that we went back there the next day, which we did. So.
But yeah, it was we pretty much went back to another campsite in Litchfield and called it a night there. I think we all ended up having a few beers with Ricky that night, and I woke up pretty dusty the next morning because I think I had a few too many, but that was good fun. But I think the most exciting thing about that morning is we found a shower there.
Yeah. Highlight.
Yeah.
Highlight was the shower.
Yeah, because we'd been pretty sweaty for the last few days, so
Yeah.
it's good to kind of finally wash it all off. But yeah, it was a good morning the next morning. I think Ricky buggered off early because he needed to go and figure out some work stuff for himself, and we pretty much followed his advice and went down, cruising down that closed dirt road to see if we could find Tyson his little monitors.
Yeah, the little Merdens.
Yeah.
There was like three bridges, and they're sort of spread quite apart from each other. And he said like the first and third one were good for Merdens. So we stopped at the first one, didn't see anything. Stopped at the second one, didn't see anything. And on the third one, we decided we would get out and we like me and Youngins, we chucked our heads over the side of this little bridge on either side, and we both saw it. You'd seen a 4-foot Merdens, right? You'd seen a large one.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so I actually walked over to the bridge, and Luke obviously seen the same one I did, and you must have been in view of it when I seen it. But I basically walked over towards the bridge, and as I looked down, I basically seen it sitting there in the drain, and it shot under the water and back into the drain. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, we've got one, and it's in the drain there. And that's when you and I, Tyson, stuck our heads over again, and we could basically see it and realised we could crawl. The drain was big enough to basically squeeze between.
Yeah.
So we were like, sweet as well, we'll be able to get it. So
yeah, so you jumped down one end and I jumped down the other, and I had seen that I hadn't seen like the whole body of the Merdens, but I'd seen like the head. I'd seen like a large head when I looked over. So when I jumped down, I decided that I'd basically crawl through the drain and try and flush it out to the other side while Luke waited there. But when I got in, like there was no sign of a large Merdens. There was only a baby Merdens in there, and I have no idea where.
We didn't realise that until
I was halfway in.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, so I flushed him out to you, and it was pretty funny how it like it was pretty chill, and it just basically swam straight into your hand essentially, and you just plucked it straight out of the water. It was very nicely done.
So yeah, it was pretty good. I basically sat still for anyone that was listening. So I'm crouched down in the water. I sat still and I realised he was swimming along the wall. So I basically just put my hand along the wall under the water, and he swam quite literally into my hand. And closed the fingers, and it was good to go.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
I think that was the moment that you sighed the biggest sigh of relief as well, Luke. You're like, all right, I got them both the one thing they wanted to see. Anything on top of this is good.
It was funny too. Like, obviously being the person who was sort of taking you guys around and hoping to show you stuff around here, it was I was so stoked because the night that Steph and I had was absolutely terrible. Like one of the worst nights I've ever had in Litchfield. And I very much thought you and Tyson would have had the same sort of night. And I was like, fuck, this is a disaster. Like, what's going on? So I was stoked you guys got that. And then, when we finally got that Mertens, I was done. I was happy. It was done for me. Didn't matter what happened from there. It was good. It was good to go.
Yeah. I mean,
I think you put too much pressure on yourself, mate. Like at the end of the day, we're there for the adventure and the fun. Like I know you want us to see the stuff, but at the same time, if we don't, we don't. You know, we know what we signed up for.
It's just funny though, because like a lot of the time, it just comes very easily. Like you see stuff on the side of the road. You know, you drive along the road at night and you see a heap of stuff, and it's almost careless in such a way that it's like, oh yeah, there's another, I don't know, olive python, there's another night tiger, there's a Merton sitting on the side of the road, whatever. And then it's like, okay, cool, these guys are going to come up easy. We'll get this, this, and this on the first day. We'll get this and this, you know, and suddenly nothing. It was kind of like, fuck me. Like, why is it when I'm showing people shit that
You don't
nothing
find it.
shows up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But-
yeah,
but-
no, it was a good moment.
But that aside, like you know, even meeting Ricky for the first time and hanging about in his Land Cruiser, like that dude's such a like encyclopedia for habitat information and like just the things he can rattle off, man. It's unreal. And
Yeah.
the eyes on the kid, like you know, like I've got fairly good eyes, but he was spotting things and IDing them at distance, at speed,
And speed.
you know, like and then just flying out of stopping the car, flying out and grabbing it, and sure enough, it was what he said it was, you know, like it's pretty.
I found it so funny because, like, you know, we'd say like, oh, you know, such and such, you know, species or whatever, and he'd go, nah, get fucked, it's this or whatever. Like that. Like he was just so like
it's
blatant,
a
like,
stick.
yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
he's like,
it's a stick.
yeah. Like we're like, oh no, I was like, oh, black-headed python. He goes, nah, night tiger. Night tiger.
Yeah. But like
It
he'd
was-
stop
it
the
was-
car and I'd be like undoing my seatbelt and he's already 100 meters down the road with a snake in his hand. Like it was just
So
freaky.
on that note, like even though it wasn't our trip, Steph went herping with him a couple of days before or something, and apparently he was flying along and seen a whip snake, and he was out of the car and the car hadn't stopped moving, and Steph had to reach across the Land Cruiser, which is obviously not a small car, and slam it into neutral to put the brakes on because the car was still going and she was in the passenger seat and he was 100 meters down the road catching the snake. He was
That
wild.
doesn't sound
kid.
like him at
He's
all.
a wild kid.
Hey, you know, you got to be in it to win it, man.
Yeah. Oh, he's in it all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really good night, and finding that Mertens the next morning, I think that was that was a real good day too.
That was primo.
Yeah,
Nice little baby.
it was cool to see it just like out in like such random habitat too. Like it was just in a little tiny creek that was run under this bridge and like all this lush grass everywhere. Like it was.
It's like if you had the bridge behind you or like the drain behind you, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, like you looked out off the drain, it was amazing. But you turn around and look at the drain, you're like, oh, it's pretty filthy.
Yeah. It was pretty scungy in there too. It wasn't nice.
It's nice. It's nice, you know, with all the cane toads and stuff around. Like, there's just cane toads everywhere, you know. Like, it's like, you know, sometimes you're driving around the road, it's like driving on bubble wrap. That's all pop, 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 pop. There's just so many of them. And then you know you've got this baby little Mertens, and it's like, you got
Why'd
this
you have to say that?
you got this baby Mertens, and it's like it's good to see that they are breeding and there are there's a young
haven't succumbed to the cane toads.
Yeah, you know. And
I think another interesting point on that other people might find interesting is you know, we went to another well-known spot for Mertens and there was none, but the water was absolutely pumping through there as a big, you know, waterfall and everything, and there was so much current that it was almost unsafe to swim for most people. But what you found is where that drain was a big floodplain, and what it seems to be, and we've already seen a couple of Mertens today, they seem to be nomadic and they actually move out well away from the creeks and sort of go into puddles and things, and they're potentially, you know, foraging for frogs and stuff that are living on the floodplains, but they don't seem to have a home around those rock waterfalls that last permanently. They're actually moving well away from those areas to, you know, persist, which is interesting, I thought.
Makes sense. Yeah, because we went for a swim at that Billy Rockhole or whatever the next day and spent a good amount of time there. That was awesome, actually, just hanging out in that water for a fair while. Yeah. And then we ran into our second car problem for the trip.
Oh yeah.
Went to click over the car and it just wasn't turning on because Luke's got a dodgy negative terminal.
So for anyone that's listening, I don't know how long I've had this Hilux for, but it's long enough to, you know, and I've done some serious Ks on it since I've had it, and I've never ever had an issue with it. It's never missed a heartbeat. The only thing I've ever had an issue with is bloody aircon in it. But yeah, it's never had a heartbeat and missed a heartbeat, sorry. And yeah, twice on this trip it's fucked out, and thankfully managed to save it both times. Luke, thank you. And
Yeah.
old crazy dude that we met at the
Yeah, random Hogan guy.
real
Oh.
bogan dude.
That guy had
That
some
guy was
stories.
Yeah, that
crazy.
guy was.
Yeah, he's one of those dudes that had proper crazy eyes.
Yeah, it's funny that he was
Yeah.
like leaving too, and we stopped him, and he was like the perfect guy, the perfect man for the job.
Yeah.
Like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
Where
it
did we
was
go
funny.
from there?
I think from there we would have headed out to Kakadu. We went to the pub first and grabbed a feed where I
Oh, that's
work,
right.
and
Yeah.
Ricky met us up there, and then we convinced, well, Tyson, I think he convinced him to come to Kakadu. And then we all headed out to Kakadu for the night, which...
Oh, he's dropped out for a sec.
Yep.
So,
We- as we were fanging out there, though, we stopped on the little bridge that goes, like the causeway that goes
South
over
Alligator River.
Alligator River. Yeah, we jumped out to look for bokka dams, which was
right.
cool.
Yeah.
Interesting though, like we were watching like the barra and the they're like I think they were gudgeons basically sleeping in the shallows, and you'd be steering down looking for snakes, and then you'd look up and your torch would catch the eye shine of some crocs, which was
The
pretty
barrows,
cool.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. With some little crocs that we were eye shining, but on our way in, like we were eye shining some big ones that were sort of moving around pretty quickly, which was very cool. But even so, like you're on the water's edge in the middle of the night there, you still feel quite safe there because it's like it is very shallow.
Yeah.
Like on the edge of the river.
It was cool to stop there. It was cool to see so much water. Like,
yeah,
because again, like when I'd last been there, that was just all grass, like short grass sort of thing. So to see it actually full and animals swimming around in there, like it was pretty surreal to be able to see all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where Jason's gone. I'll add him back in as he comes in. Yeah, so we're pretty much just fanging it out to Kakadu as quick as we could that night. Really, that was the main aim of the game.
And it pissed down on us.
11:30.
We keep driving through like these big pockets of rain.
Yeah, I just remember each pocket of rain we went through, that humidity just got jacked up even further.
But I also think like each pocket of rain, like because I was talking to Ricky about, he's like, you know, sometimes rain's good, like earlier on the night when you know that the temperature's going to stay high, but we're like, oh yeah, we'll just go through this one. You know, you're basically driving through heavy rain for like 100 meters, but then it would be like another one, and we're getting closer to the destination, and another one, and then another pocket of rain, and we were all thinking, oh no, it's just going to be pissing down with rain and Kakadu, and then it ended up again perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, another perfect storm.
Another perfect storm. So
yeah.
Well, that was unreal because we ended up. We found a couple of things on the way out. I think we found like the 10th children's python or something like that, and like a boiger as well.
Yeah, that boiger was hands down the best boiger I've seen up here since I've been up here. Yeah, he was real nice. But yeah, on the way out, we got a couple of little things.
Yeah, no, it was good to see a few of those critters as we were coming out, and I think we pretty much stopped in straight at the main site for the night as well, which we'll maybe get to in a second here. I'm just hoping to get Jason back on in before he
I'll
misses out on
add
the
a
story.
little part to that story there. So
yeah, go for it.
Basically, in my mind, I was kind of like, well, we should go to this particular spot that I know to get these geckos, just so we can tick them off and see them, so I can show you guys something, and it was going to be all good. And Ricky was kind of adamant on going to this other spot, and he's like, I think we should do it this way. And I was kind of like, well, but if we do it my way, we can kind of just go flick them off because they're real quick and easy to find. And then we can spend the rest of the night looking for these Owen Pellies, and we'll see how we go. But Ricky was kind of like, let's do it in reverse. Let's look for the Owen Pellies for a bit, and when we don't find them, let's go, tick off something so we get motivation again, and then we'll go back and look for Owen Pellies again. Now, in the car, there were two separate conversations that went on. So Tyson was driving with Ricky, and I was driving with Luke. And Luke basically ended up saying to me, it's been such a good trip, thanks so much, blah, blah, blah. But I really hope that we get your Owen Pelly. And I'm kind of sitting there knowing how much time I've put in to get Owen Pellies and going, yeah, we're spending one night. It's not going to happen. Thanks. I appreciate the kindness and, whatever. It'll be great, but it's not going to happen. And then in the same, the other car, Tyson, Ricky was talking to you and basically saying, Luke's a fucking idiot, he's not going where I'm telling him to go.
Yeah. He goes, He goes, "I've told Luke where to go. Where he's looking is the wrong fucking place." I said, "He's never going to find one there." I said, "I've told him he needs to fucking look here." He said, "This is where I found one before. 100% that's where he's got to go. I'm not going to that other fucking place."
And then after that, he ends up going, "I want to find a big one."
Yeah, no, he goes, "I found a little one." He's like, "Now I want to find a big fuck off one."
Yeah. So anyway, we get to the spot that we're going to, which is a very well-known spot in the car park. And we're all, you know, I'm very well aware of the amount of hours that go into getting these things and so on. So I'm packing bags with, you know, all my camera gear just in case we get a small one or a big one. You know, I've got everything going. I've got bottles of water and then obviously 4Xs as well. You know, we're all knuckling in for a good night.
Yeah, 11:30. I was having a can of coffee and like gearing up for a big search, getting caffeinated.
Yeah.
I think I sculled a Red Bull or something as well.
Yeah, I was like confident we were going to be there for about 5 hours.
Yeah.
And anyway, we basically start walking and we're walking along this footpath and Ricky's, you know, telling us about it, going, you know, oh, they're so fucking hard to find, you know, they could be anywhere, you know, there's so little data on them, you know, they're here, they could be there, you know, so you can't just focus on one spot, you got to be looking everywhere. You know, the first one I found was, yeah, you could road cruise one and you never know when you're going to road cruise one because, you know, they just show up when they want to. And kind of sitting here going, shut up, like, stop making me fucking feel bad that we're not going to find one, you know, like just concreting the fact it's not going to happen. Anyway, Ricky basically says, oh, you know, we found the first one, you know, up here. This is where I found it. It was somewhere over here. And he starts, you know, walking off into the bush and he's sticking around. And I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, let's walk a little bit further away from the car park, at least so we've got a bit of a chance, you know. And then sure enough, he's like, yeah, on this rock here, and slaps the rock. And, you know, he pauses for a minute and we're still walking. And he just turns and goes, I didn't never forget the image while he's holding this 4X can, and he turns and looks at us and he goes, you're not going to believe it. And I sort of just went, fuck off, Ricky. Like, and at the same time as I'm saying that, I'm like, this cunt doesn't fucking joke about this shit. And then I think all you two were laughing and I'm kind of sitting there in my head going, this isn't real. Like, no way. Anyway, he goes, no, I'm serious. And so we all start laughing because it's ridiculous. And we walk over and sure enough, there's this tree beside him and spiraling down the tree is this big iron pelly that's right on the rock where he's obviously slapped his hand next to it or something. And yeah, it was pretty
like,
unfair, really.
Yeah, like we're like 5 minutes in, not 50
not
meters
even
away from the car, and he's
taken 2 minutes.
Taken maybe 10 steps off the path in a direction, and then you're never gonna believe it.
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean, and I was talking to Matt Somerville about this too. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like the amount of hours and time Matt put into finding Owen Pellies, the amount of time that, you know, Steph and I have gone in looking for them, and the one trip Steph didn't come. You know, she's sitting with me waiting to go as well now to try to secure them. But yeah, basically, you know, the amount of hours you come in and less than 50 meters from the car, 10 meters off the path, yeah, not even 10 meters off the footpath. And yeah, Ricky's turned up a 3.5 meter Owen Pelly sitting, halfway down the trail on a rock. So,
I love how he turned around after that and he goes, I'm not good at much, but I'm good at this.
I'm not good for much, but what I am good for, I'm pretty good at it. Yeah. So
Classic.
Ricky was pretty blind. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good value that night.
Yeah.
No, it was pretty unreal. And unfair, really. But yeah, I'm stoked you guys obviously got to be a part of that and see that as well. But you know, it's unbelievable. You're the kind of story, both of you, that herpers like me fucking hate because you walk in and that happens. It's just not fair. But I mean, it is what it is. But
it's not, and like it's just pure luck that we were in the right spot at the right time with the right people. You know, like it's just
Like, you know, Luke, there's levels to this game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently, I'm not at the top.
We'll get there, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah. My level's like here, and Ricky's fucking up here.
A few more trips, mate. A few more trips.
Yeah, a couple more 4Xs and maybe I'll be at his level.
It was so awesome though to watch your face when you saw it though. Like I felt like a
Yeah.
complete spectator. I was like, this animal's cool, and I can 100% appreciate how incredibly lucky I am to be here witnessing this. But the fact that like we knew how much time you'd put into it, like that was the biggest thing for me, to see your kind of like relief to see the snake and go, holy shit, it's finally my time, you know, like that. Like it was like I was complete spectator. Really,
Yeah.
but
Well, we all had that moment though. Like I really felt like that when you saw your Gillens, and I'm sure you felt like that when I saw the Merdens, and then we felt like that when you found the Owen Pelly. You know, just that work come to fruition.
Yeah, it was funny. I actually watched that video. I don't know who filmed it, Tyson. I think it might have been you, but it was of me and Ricky, and I was basically hysterical. And I actually don't remember that, but I was like just laughing at how ridiculous the whole situation was, and just it was very cool.
I have that other video of us walking down the path, and I'm spewing. I didn't just film for like literally another
minute.
Yeah. I would have caught the whole thing on video. Like I've literally got Ricky saying like, you know, they turn up anywhere, and you just got to be lucky. You can find one, you know, just crossing the road, or there could be one on the path, or you know,
like the whole place is full of vines and things too. So you're looking up, going, holy crap! Like everything looks like an Owen Pelly from here. You know, like everything looks like a snake.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I think people don't realize is trudging through that stuff, like the vine thickets, and it's next to impossible. You can't really walk through it, and this is where I've hiccuped. So anyone that follows my Instagram knows that I've found several children's pythons and mistaken them from a distance as Owen Pellies because they've been in vine thickets or in trees or something, and you can't make good eye contact or make good, you know, visual on them until you actually have them in your hand. So I was kind of like, oh, I think I've done it, and then you don't have it. But yeah, there was no mistake in the one Ricky had.
Not when it's 9 foot long.
Yeah, they're such a crazy snake. Like they just the way their body is, they're so long and so thin. They're incredible.
Yeah, real slender, real
they
slender.
Just don't look like anything else.
Yeah, it was interesting too, having a look at its head as well. I don't know if you guys, I sort of just was off in my own head at the time, but looking at its head, I suddenly realized that they really don't look like Somalia, which is what they used to be classified in, but I was under the impression they were still classed under as Somalia. So when I posted the photo of it, I had a fella who, I don't actually know his name, but I know he does like ecology research, and I've followed him for a very long time. He actually shot me a message and said they're under the I don't even know how you say it, Nyctophilopython.
Nyctophilopython, I think it is.
Yeah, something like that. Which, you know, I wasn't really aware of, and Scott Iper has since sent me the paper of that to read through. But yeah, having seen them in person, the way that I really viewed that one really made me go, oh shit, they're definitely not a Morelia or a Somalia. So yeah, that was kind of one little thing I was thinking in that whole experience.
Yeah, very cool. And
I definitely didn't have that thought myself, just because I was just so in awe at the fact that we just stumbled across it so easily, and I was just kind of like, this is just so surreal. Like I got to be dreaming right now. Like somebody's hit me on the head or something. But
felt like, I think we're all just fucking just like, what the fuck? That's basically all it was.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous.
Eating and laughing.
Yeah.
And then Ricky ran back for more beers.
Yeah.
So we got to celebrate.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been like, it couldn't have been a better experience in any way. Just the story, the snake, the company, just everything about it was perfect, really. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. The other cool thing moving forward from that was when we sort of stopped photographing it and kind of just let it move off by itself, was how it climbed that tree, which we were all kind of like, holy fuck, you know,
look at it climb that tree and how it's doing it, because that tree wasn't that thick and it's a very big snake climbing that tree. But the way that it sort of wrapped its body around and hooked on and then pushed its body further up, and I've actually got some pretty cool photos of it hanging in that tree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty. I think we were all sort of ended up shutting up and watching that at that point, kind of going, "This is pretty fucking cool."
Yeah, it was unreal. Hey, like it was just so surreal to just watch it. It's like, you see chondros do that, but you don't see 9-foot pythons do that.
Yeah, I feel like it gave us quite a good show. Like we got to see it come out of the tree, down onto the rock, like chill on the rock, move around on the rock, and then go back up a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sat on that rock real nice too, eh?
Yeah.
Basically just sat there for ages and let us do what we were doing.
Yeah.
It was a very calm snake.
Yeah.
Like compared to pretty much every other snake we found on the trip, like every other snake just couldn't wait to get away from us, but this thing just couldn't care.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less.
Yeah. And when it was time to go, it was time to go. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. But yeah, we after that we ended up going to that Little Neurolandia or whatever, and kind of hunting around for geckos and stuff up there. And I remember you and Ricky going, "Oh, we'll trip over 40 Jamada, we'll trip over 40 cave geckos, we'll see all these children's pythons." Yeah. And then we got 2 geckos.
That's like a fail-safe spot for me. Like I go there every time I go to Kaku just to see shit. And basically you walk up the stairs, and every time I've always found, 1 or 2 of the species within a 10-meter radius of the stairs. And yeah, we ended up looking there for 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, and didn't see, we saw two species and only 2 individuals, which never happens ever. Again, not sure why, but yeah.
And the cave gecko was found in a tree, not in a cave.
Yes, yeah. Common misconception. A lot of people look on the rocks for them, and very infrequently are they in rocks.
Yeah. It was big though. It was nice.
Patellers.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah, you got a nice big one of that, eh? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was cool to have a play around with it. Like when Ricky handed it over to me, he's like, "Oh, you got to check out the jaw pressure on these things." I was like, "Oh yeah, all right." Stuck it on my finger, and it just hung there for like a few minutes. I was like, "Oh, it's got a good pinch to it."
But is it got like no teeth, eh? Like no real.
They got teeth.
They got teeth.
Yeah, it didn't look like you were getting affected by any teeth.
No, they're little teeth.
Yeah.
And like it's on like a thick, calloused finger, so it's not going to break it, sort of thing. But Ricky was pretty much like, "No, you're doing it wrong," and like shuffled it down, so it got like a proper pinch on me, and I was like, "Okay, now I can feel it a bit more," because it like had a fair bit of meat before that.
Yeah. Right. That dude's an expert in getting bit on by things too.
Yeah. But no, that was a really impressive gecko. It was pretty sizey. Like it was probably about a good 5 inches or so. Like it was a pretty decent sized little individual. It was cool watching, actually, as sick as it is. Whilst it was biting me, it was cool watching like all the muscles in its head like actually contract, like really try to get like a good pinch, and you could see how strong those things were. Like you'd hate to be a bug and get hammered by one of those things.
Yeah,
you'd be gone.
Yeah,
gone. Well, they eat small geckos as well. So
cool.
part of their diet is other geckos.
There you go. They're probably feeding on like Hachi Jamada and stuff up there.
Hell yeah. Yep. Yeah. Funny story. Actually, I was telling someone about this. I was telling Steph about it only a couple of days ago. When I used to have ringtail geckos, I had, when I had a massive gecko collection, I had ringtails, and I had Oedura triani hatch out in an enclosure, and I wasn't aware of it. And they somehow got out of that enclosure, and I came into my gecko room at one night and found a baby triani sitting within the mouth of a big ringtail gecko, which was somewhat distressing, but unfortunate for the gecko. And the ringtails are about the same size as those cave geckos, so yeah, no question they'd do the same.
And yeah, it's probably about 20 minutes after that or so. We were kind of walking around on the rocks again, and you were actually a fair bit further away from us, Luke, and you called out and you'd found a Jamada.
Yeah.
That was a nice little individual.
Yeah, it wasn't an adult in full coloration. It was kind of the middle zone where they start really transitioning and getting the color, but not quite there yet. So,
Mm.
yeah.
But it was
they're a
cool.
gecko.
Cool to see it. Cool to tick it off and kind of be able to spend a couple of minutes with it and just appreciate its beauty. And it didn't really care that we were there either. So yeah,
Wow.
it's good to see it. And then after that, we went and tried our luck at seeing if we could find another Pelly. So we thought we'd go for a walk after that to, I think, all of our disgrace because it was getting pretty late by that stage.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
We found
Oh,
toads.
yeah, lots of toads the size of our hands.
Very big toads, though.
Yeah, very big toads. And a couple
Yeah.
of frogs. Then we
Yeah.
found a marbled frog.
Yeah. Yep.
Little
Yeah.
Oh,
frog.
so no, that's. I was actually researching this the other day. They are not a marbled frog. They are carpenter frogs.
Carpenter.
frog.
So they get their name because their call basically sounds like if you had a hammer and was hitting a piece of wood with it, or like a hollow piece of wood. That's what they are. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It's a cool frog.
Yeah, it was very
pretty.
beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was pretty much it for a night. And then we went and lay in like a little shallow river crossing and had a bath at 4:30 a.m. all together, kind of celebrating the night and
Yeah, that was
just
nice.
kind of washing
Yeah,
it
that
off.
was good.
But we sweated so much that night. Like I remember looking at Luke and it looked like somebody just hosed him.
Yeah.
It was
100%
actually-
humidity and 10% excitement.
Yeah. I do remember a split second where we were I think you were kind of getting those last couple of shots of the Pelly as it was up the tree and you were up the tree 2 meters, photographing it, Luke, and I had my head torch and I was getting smoked by so many bugs that I took my head torch off and I held it above me, closed my eyes and like held my hand across my my mouth and my nose because I had that many bugs on me. I remember feeling wet. And then like, all of a sudden, there must have been like 600 bugs in me just sucking the moisture off me. And all of a sudden, I felt dry again. It was real gross.
Yeah,
But
it's insane.
Yeah.
I think we were all choked on a few bugs on this trip as well. Tyson and I copped a couple of big ones each.
Oh, I spent like an hour trying to get a bug out of my throat. It was horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
do you
couple
remember
of
how I had
flies
that? I had that midgie and it got
Oh,
into
yeah.
my eye.
Yeah.
And then it was like 24 hours later, I was like, oh, you remember that fly that got in my eye last night? Here it is. I finally got it out. That was gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't get it out, but yeah. Anyway, came out eventually.
Yeah.
Actually, that next day was really cool though, hey, because we ended up going kind of near where we camped. We went to it was like a 3K walk into the scrub and we got to see some like real nice rocky escarpments and we kind of ended up following this creek along and got into this awesome bit of water where Tyson was able to dive in and see some critters.
Yeah, that was so sick. It was like a super clear creek, big crocodiles no swimming sign above it. You as soon as you get there, but I had my mask with me and I sort of jumped in. I had a little look, jumped in knee deep, put my face in the water and had a little look. And sure enough, unfortunately didn't see any crocodiles, but fortunately enough, we were able to get in.
Unfortunately.
And I saw Youngins was over on a rock sitting and then spotted a Merdens below him. So it's basically a Merdens like straight across from me in the water. I got my GoPro out and sort of swam, did a bit of breaststroke across the little creek and had a pretty cool experience swimming around with the little one. And as I was sort of chasing the little one around in the water, a much larger one sort of appeared. So I got some pretty epic underwater footage of the Merdens swimming around, and it was honestly incredible at how fast they move in the water. It's truly insane how quick they are.
There was a really cool moment in your footage when we were reviewing that one under the water, like well and truly submerged, and it's sitting there as if it was basking on this rock. And I just remember its tongue just shooting out, just nice and slowly under the water. And sort of watching you as you kept coming a bit closer, and it's like that's so cool that they can do that. And then it's kind of was like, okay, you're too close, goodbye.
Yeah,
and then goodbye.
Yeah, but they let you get pretty close before they sort of they abort. Like,
oh, cheers.
It was all swimming around me, and it was just incredible. Just their agility in the water was amazing.
Yeah, they were so quick. I just couldn't get over how quickly they swam around, and yeah, it was so cool to see that. And I remember then you and Ricky were hunting for that one that was underneath that big rock as well.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty cool. So I'd spent quite a bit of time swimming around with two of them, and I really sort of wanted to single handedly catch one, and there's one underneath the rock, and I had to climb across a waterfall and get into a little cave, and managed to pull it out.
Don't miss the point where you did basically like a headstand in the water,
yeah.
and you walked your legs up. So everyone else's view was Tyson's whole body upside down, walking with only like his shoulders and head under the water.
Yeah,
and
little
everything
dive
else was upside down.
Little scuba diving
Brilliant.
trick to try and, because I couldn't get my head low enough, so I basically did a headstand in the water just to get my eyes low enough to look underneath it. But yeah, what was funny is that like as I got the Mernons out, I was like trapped in this sort of hole, and I had to get out. Basically, I handed the Mernons to Ricky, and then as I got up, the Mernons basically shat all over him, projectiles shit all over him,
straight all over his stomach. I remember looking at him and his face just sunk, and he's just covered in all this white shit all over his guts.
Yeah, and I was like, thanks, mate, and took the much lighter Mernons back off him, and yeah, we got some nice photos, and that was very, very cool.
Yeah.
But
that was really surreal. We hung out there for a few hours, I think, didn't we? Like we
Yeah,
were there
well,
for
the
quite a
water
bit of the day.
It's like big
Yeah.
big
We were
grunters.
supposed to look for rock monitors,
Yeah,
but we
that's
ended
right.
up spending half the day there.
yeah. Give me one sec, guys.
Wasn't a bad thing though. It was quite nice and cool
No.
down there, and swimming
it was
around in
so
that
good.
water was beautiful. And I kind of gave you guys about half an hour to make sure there was no crocs in there before I dove in the water. So I think I pulled the smart card. But yeah, no, it was really cool to chill out there for a good part of the day.
It was
nice.
I was really hoping that there would be like a little freshie under one of the rocks.
Yeah, that would have been sick.
You know, like I was secretly hoping, but
yeah,
it was.
Freshie would have been good. I would have been like somewhat distraught if it was a salty.
Yeah,
yeah, that wouldn't have been fun.
Well,
no, that was a sick night, a sick day actually. And then what did we do from there? We pretty much went and just chilled out at Jabiru.
Yeah, the pub.
That was a weird moment for me. That was the first time I've ever felt so content on a holiday where I didn't feel the need to go look for anything.
Yeah.
You guys have got on your big ticks, Tyson. You got to do what you wanted to do. Luke, you got to do what you wanted to do, and I miraculously got my tick as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't really care anymore what we did from there. I was like super happy to just chill.
But not only did I get my tick, like what I really wanted to do was swim in a natural habitat in clear water with the Mernons. You know, that's what I really wanted, and that's what I got, and that was so good. Like I can't wait to sort of start uploading those videos and show how good it was.
Yep. Oh, we're losing everybody here. Yeah, it was pretty crazy though, because like not too long after that, we pretty much kind of wanted to head back to Jabiru or whatever to get a bit of internet reception, and I was in the car with Ricky, and you were in the car with Luke.
Yeah,
and we pulled across that car of the local mob, essentially pulled up on the side of the road while Grandma was having a snooze. They'd run out of petrol, and Ricky pretty much unloaded me out of the car, and he fit 5 of the local people.
Wasn't he like, oh, this is gonna be wild?
Yeah, he pretty much just hooked the car around. He's like, oh, well, let's see what these fellas are up to. This is gonna be wild. And he like pulled up. And he's like, oh, do you want me to go get your fuel? And they're like, no, we're near our community or whatever. Like, we'll be right. They didn't care about the car whatsoever. And he just piled them all in, and we followed Ricky over to the community, and he got a few selfies with him and gave him a few tins, and off our way we went. And there was a lot of thanks fellas getting thrown around, and
that was cool. Little
cool
side quest.
Yeah, that was exactly it. It was, like return these people to their home. Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, we did kind of just like essentially knock off, didn't we? We didn't really go herping after that. We pretty much hung out and had a few beers at the
Yeah, well,
golf club in Jabiru.
remember we ordered food and it took forever to come, and
That's
basically
true. Yeah,
like dusk had passed, and we were sort of like we were eating like well after dark, and then we gave it a good go. Like we went out looking, and I
Yeah.
think we found like a children's and a little Burton's, didn't we? Wasn't a children's and a little Burton?
yeah.
And then there was just nothing.
Well, so you were in the car with Ricky, so you got those couple of things. Luke and I our eyes were pretty much hanging out of our heads, so I think we were just about done. And we got to, because we were going to go down that Owen Pelly Road, but it was all underwater. So Luke and I stopped at the water, and then you and Ricky plowed on through.
Yeah, we were like a meter deep in croc infested waters, and then then which was pretty cool to be honest. And then we were just like, oh, it's just going to be too deep, so we ended up turning around. And I mean, I was dead at that point. Like I was just exhausted.
Well, we were spent. Hey, like we'd been going hard. We'd only been getting like a few hours sleep a night, if that, and like especially coming off the back of that Owen Pelly night. Like it's it was one of those things where it was just it was pretty full on. So we pretty much called it early and said, what was it? It was probably about 10 o'clock at night or something like that, and we just decided, nah, this is it.
Yeah, I think we were probably asleep by like 10:30, 11.
Yeah,
and then sort of woke up and then had to fang it back to Darwin to catch our flight.
Yeah, that was like such a kind of like depressing moment, I think, because it was kind of like, oh, this is the trip's over. But at the same time, like when you look back at the trip and how much stuff we found, it was like, it was so surreal. And as Luke said before he dropped out just before, like the fact that we all got like our major ticks and we were there to see each other get their major ticks.
Yeah.
Like it was such a good moment. Like I remember you pulling that Mertens out of the drain and like the smile on your face. I remember Luke just looking so shocked that he'd just seen an Owen Pelly. And I remember my own self like seeing that gill and eye and start tearing up. You know, like it was all very surreal moments to be able to share together, I think. So
yeah, for sure. And for me as well, like seeing that big olive, you know, I keep two olives of similar size, and to see what out in the wild was definitely a huge tick for me. And also, you know, that Panoptes, like I just love Panoptes so much, and I just wasn't expecting that we would see a Panoptes out on the trip. And was a huge tick for me too. And night tigers are another species that I'm super interested in, and to see so many of them was super cool too. So
that was funny because it kind of got to the point, like I remember because when we were going like the Owen Pelly night, when we went to go find that and we came across that night tiger Luke and I found on the road, and you were in the car with Ricky and you were kind of sitting in the car and it was like, oh, another night tiger, cool. And we're like, no, you actually need to get out and see this one because this is like the best one of the trip. It was like a proper candy cane.
Yeah, no, that was sick. Like I just beautiful snake. And like it's interesting. Some you find are just so fiery, and then others are just so relaxed.
Yeah, it was really bizarre actually. Nothing like my boyga that
I like those
they just want my flesh. Yeah,
I like those Slady Greys. I could see myself keeping them.
We watched Ricky get chewed on by a few things, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean that dude's just unreal, man. That dude's unreal.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to get like noshed on by a bloody the Slady Grey and a night tiger in quick succession was mad. Just cops it like nothing and continues as if nothing happened. But I guess it just doesn't affect him, I suppose. So you know, not recommending anybody tries that, but
yeah, he had some wild stories, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, dude could write a book. I hope he does one day.
I hope he does too. I'll definitely buy a few copies of that one because the amount of stories that I heard in such a short period of time about hanging out with him. Like,
yeah, it's just mad. Dude's like I did some pretty cool stuff in my 20s, you know, but like I started at 23 and that dude's like lived a whole life and he's only 23.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's unreal.
Give him another 10 years and you know, I just imagine what he can achieve and the stories he's going to be able to tell. So
yeah, and it's good to hear that he's essentially lined up some work for himself. So hopefully he's getting his his foot in to do some stuff, and hopefully,
Yeah.
fingers crossed after our chats. Hopefully, we'll see some videos out of him soon
Yeah,
for
it's more
anybody that's a
content
keen
later,
Ricky
so-
Mack fan. So
Yeah, which is good.
yeah,
Yeah, Ricky Mack on YouTube. Make sure you follow him, subscribe.
yeah. Alrighty, mate. Well, yeah, that was pretty much our trip, I reckon. Like that's it in a nutshell, essentially. So yeah, it's unreal though. Like some of the stories that we've got, like finding the panoptes, the way that it came back up that tree, being
Yeah,
able to hunt down our targets, and very luckily walk straight into an Owen Pelly, essentially. Like
yeah, it's so good.
the likelihood of that, and Ricky's casualness about it all.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe it.
Yeah, yeah. How good was the walk to the Murdens Creek though? With the it's like 3Ks, but like 4 different habitats.
Yeah,
It was just mad.
That was insane because it was like really dry kind of savanna. Then all of a sudden you're like wading through ankle deep water.
Yeah,
and then it like dried up again, but it was like escarpment and stuff.
Yeah, and then it was like a monsoon forest, and then the
Proper
creek.
forest.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was almost like being at like a theme park where you go through the different worlds, you know, and they're just each world is after each other, and they're all just so different. And it's in 3Ks of walkway was amazing. And we found those really cool those really cool tadpoles with the yellow spots.
That's right. That was on the way there, wasn't it? Or
Yeah,
on
just
the way
in
back.
a shallow pool. The whole time we're walking, it's like you know that there's rock monitors and glebos and those escarpments, and you just look at those escarpments thinking like, how do you even get up there?
Where do you start?
Where would you even start? Like,
Yeah, especially with the grass so long as well. Like a lot of the grass, like there'll be some clips in some of my upcoming videos, but it was taller than Luke's car. So like some of that grass was 8-9 foot tall from the ground.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, actually, you got some good drone footage of that in a few areas as well, where you can just see how dense it is. Like it was crazy, and the amount of bugs at night, and you can hear all grasshoppers and cicadas and stuff going off. Like it was really cool. I actually remember walking back from that particular creek and just going, I'm not going to put my shoes on for this. Like I actually want to just feel it, and just feeling everything underfoot. And it was just like, as painful as some areas and stuff were, and I don't have those Ricky Mack leather shoes on. So it was really surreal to kind of finish up the trip like that. I think like it was really
a little bit of connection back to Earth.
Yeah. It's something I'd definitely like to do more of, but time and money. So
yeah, mate. There's plenty of time left.
That's it.
Plenty of money left to be made, mate. We can still go again.
That's it. It's like home away from home, the NT for me. Like, I can definitely see him going back another 30 times. So
yeah, we all got to chip in for a bit of land. Timeshare.
Yeah.
Timeshare.
We were talking about that, weren't we? We're like, we just need to buy a plot of land, put like a little, campsite on it, like nothing fancy, but just so we can all bugger off there and have our little patch to go and mosey around on.
Yeah. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Good fun. Alrighty, mate. Well, let's wrap this doohickey up. Did you just want to throw anything out there as far as where people can find you? Because I know you're going to have some cool content coming out as well.
Yeah, the best place to find me at the moment is doc.murden on Instagram. I do a little bit on YouTube, but it's been a bit slow lately. But that's at Habitats at Home, and very shortly you're going to start seeing a lot more enclosures and stuff coming through Habitats at Home, and also some some merch coming out soon for Habitats at Home, which I'm very excited about. So follow me on there, and cheers, guys.
I will throw it out quickly as well. Make sure you guys go and follow our Luke over at LAJ_wildlife on Instagram as well. He's got some really surreal reptile photography, and I'm definitely going to be getting a few prints made up by him, I reckon. And I think a few people will probably end up start heckling him for a few prints as well. I know Tyson and I were kind of trying to pressure him into printing a few of his photos and stuff out there. So we'll see if he does. But he loves that.
He's going to hate me for saying this, but they are for sale. If you see anything you like, picture him, and you can give him some money, and he'll send you a photo.
Yeah, I highly rate his Gill and I photo. I know I'm going to be getting a big, humongous one for my wall in here, especially after seeing that particular lizard in the wild. That was unreal. Yeah, so guys,
do make sure you're following Ricky Mack on Instagram and
Of course.
YouTube as well.
Yep. All under Ricky McKenzie.
Yeah.
Yep. Make sure you go and follow Jason as well over at the Gecko Effect on Instagram and Facebook. But guys, we'd like to say a massive thank you to Eric and Owen and the rest of the NPR crew for having us. If you'd like to contact them, it's best to find them at moreliapythonradio.com and email them at info@moreliapythonradio.com. Make sure you follow the NPR network on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. As far as contacting us in our social media platforms, you can email us at australianherptoculture@gmail.com. You can also find us on as well. Make sure you check out our Teespring store for the podcast merch. The link is on the Facebook page. To see more of what Jason is doing, make sure to follow him on Facebook and Instagram at The Gecko Effect. For myself, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and Teespring under Beach of Scaly Beasts. We hope to have you back next week for another episode of the Australian Herptoculture Podcast. Good night, everybody.
See you later.